So, yeah, did you know that if you use the referee commander skin, it actually changes the icon for the call to arms ability. So this is what the call to arms ability looks like with the commander skin. This is what it looks like with anything other than the referee skin. So the developers, for some reason, have just decided to remove the gun from the referee commander skin. Obviously, it doesn't use a gun, but I think this is probably because it was an Adidas-sponsored event, and they probably didn't want to show off a gun being used by the commander tower. And it's even transcending into the tower information, as you can see here. This commander has the non-gun version, whereas if I select this commander here, it has the gun version. So, yeah, that is really odd. So, in this update, they've messed around with tower names. So, if you hover over the Tesla tower, for example, you'll notice that, yeah, it gets indented by one line, and like the 15 for damage is now 1.5, which looks very weird. The reason for this is because the Tesla tower name isn't too long. If is the case where a tower has a very short name, then if you hover over it, then its stats do look out of place. Tesla only has 5 letters in its name, so obviously that's an issue. So, I wonder, does the megabit cowboy work? Because there is a glitch. No, okay, so it's larger than that. Because yes, there is another issue with Tower Defense Simulator, and it's that if skins exist in Tower Defense Simulator, and they have a different name, internal name, to their display name, then for whatever reason it now displays their skin name in the store. So as you can see here, Mercenary skin, it's now said to be the Mercenary Tower other than the Pursuit Tower. Same for the Megabit Cowboy, same for the Vendor Farm. And if you hover over the tower in your hotbar, it will say Vendor rather than the tower name, which is actually Farm. This applies to all skins in the game which have a different display name to their internal name, and it's because of the Operator and the Juggernaut towers, because the internal name for the Operator tower is Evolved Operator, and for this the developers decided that we're going to name the hotbar and the default skin after the Operator tower, but this messed around a lot of the other towers in Tower Defense Simulator that have a internal name for the skin. So, for example, another example for this is the Ranger. There is the Indigenous skin, which internally has a different name. So if I have the Indigenous Ranger equipped, as you'll notice, Ranger automatically gets renamed into Indigenous. There's a lot more skins like this, but I'm not going to go through every exhaustive list here. Most common ones are the Vendor Farm, the Mercenary Pursuit skin, the Indigenous Ranger skin, as I mentioned, and the Megabit Cowboy. The Megabit Cowboy's internal name was Megalodon, but internally, they couldn't rename it when the person who this is named after changed their channel name. They renamed it to Megabit, so the display name was renamed to Megabit. Same for the Vendor Farm. This is actually internally called the Lemonade Stand, but it's not called the Vendor internally because there is another vendor skin in Tower Defense Simulator for the farm, but it's never been released to the general public. In fact, I believe it's an exclusive skin, which I could have owned. I'm disappointed that I never claimed it back in the day, but that's unfortunate for me. But the display name for the Lemonade Stand is still the Vendor. So technically speaking, in your inventory, you could have 2 different vendor skins and they would be completely different. But that is really rare, and like maybe only 20 people have that. But then there's also another change that the developers made, and it's to the description of the Mercenary Base, not the Mercenary Tower. So the Mercenary Base now has an extra line here. Must be placed close to the path to spawn units. Now you'd think that this would be really obvious. Why would the developers need to add this description to the Mercenary Base? Well, it's because when I tell you, a lot of people on the Tower Defense Simulator Discord server were saying that the Mercenary Base wasn't spawning any units, it would be quite a lot. So in the time that the Mercenary Base was active, with just the title Merc Base Not Spawn, you're looking at 74 people saying, guys, why are my Mercenary Bases just not spawning nothing? So, very clearly, people were asking, and probably submitting support tickets saying that the Mercenary Base was glitched because it's not spawning any units after they purchased it or got to level 175. That, obviously, is not the case. You just need to place the Mercenary Base close to the path. So I feel like, to dissuade people from actually sending in support tickets to the staff, they added this line here: must be placed close to the path to spawn in units, which, you know, is extremely funny that they've had to do this, because a lot of people just didn't understand how to use the Mercenary Base. But I wonder if they'll do this with the Necromancer Tower, because it has a inner orange ring, for example, that you need to place close to the path so that it spawns in its graves. I don't know if many people actually realise this, because, I mean, if people aren't realising this for the Mercenary Base, then surely some people aren't recognising this for the Necromancer Tower. Like, maybe we should have a tutorial on how to use some of these technical towers when you first purchase them, because very clearly, some people don't know how to use it. I would love to know the stats of how many people actually place the Mercenary Base Tower away from the path, not so that they can boost other towers, but in a similar position to like the military base, for example. The military base can be placed far away from where your towers are placed and still spawn in units. I wonder how many people did that except for the mercenary base. The developers can track games, so I do want to see the statistics of where people actually place the mercenary base. I guess there should be some suggestion that the mercenary base should change its mechanics to be similar to the military base, but I will say that the mercenary base does have another mechanic, which is to boost the damage of nearby towers by 10 or 20% depending on its level. So the fact that it can also spawn in units does kind of come at odds with that, so they'll need to balance that out. So I feel like I don't think the mercenary base should receive such a change, drastic change to it. I mean, after all, previously the mercenary base had dynamic placement limits, which the developers removed because I guess the developers didn't realize that it would be quite hard to balance, and the mercenary base wasn't really that powerful anyways in trio mode. Next is a new setting to Tower Defense Simulator, and it is actually the sound of the communication wheels. You can have it to be muted, low, medium, or loud, which is fair enough. Obviously, we know of the communication wheel keybinds, which has been added to Tower Defense Simulator, and we also know of the new suggestions made by other players here. So you can hide suggestions made by other players if you were to check this. Now, here's something for the operator tower. Its levels inside of the research is actually different from what's shown off in the game. So here, the level 5 upgrade is called automatic weapons, and the level 6 upgrade is called smart optics. But if you were to play the game, they have actually completely different names, and I think I know why. I think it's either Nim or Zeus who changed the names last minute without actually changing the names in the evolution section of the operator tower. Now, the last two names, I suspect, were changed last minute because they reference some other stuff in Tower Defense Simulator, and they don't seem like the generic upgrade names like the operator tower uses for its previous levels. So, the operator tower at level 5, I believe, is a reference to Tower Defense Simulator, Threat Detection Sentinel, a reference to TDS, and then the last one is a reference to Ultra Kill. So I suspect that one of the, well, I think probably Nim changed these upgrade names last minute for the operator tower in the game, but didn't change it for the operator tower's evolution. Hence why it looks like they have different names. I mean, it kind of makes sense, the original names for the operator tower. After all, it does get an automatic weapon at the Threat Detection Sentinel. It just mentions it here, automatic fire. Operator switches from burst fire to automatic fire. So yeah, it makes more sense. Next, we have an update that they made at the previous update in v2.0.0, and this is actually in regards to, well, error messages that come through matchmaking. They have updated the matchmaking menu in this update, but they haven't fixed these issues, I don't believe. So for this, I need to create a party and then just invite a bunch of random people. You know, preferably the low levels, because I can test this out more easily with these people. Why does this person not have an avatar? That's weird. How dare you decline my party? Why? I'm literally just inviting like low-level people that managed to join. I just need someone to test this out. Please, just someone to join my party and test this out with. Oh, I got someone. Okay. So, I have someone here. If I join, I don't know, casual and then solo, it causes this error message to come up. Error server storage dot server dot service dot multiplayer service 444 matchmaking play, too many players, 2 is greater than 1. So yes, that's true. Previously this was like a different error message which probably says you can't start this match, but now it's oddly specific and probably leaks part of the game's code, which is not ideal. Damn it, why did you leave my party just as I was about to do it? Please someone else. Stop declining me! Oh yeah, there's a new system in place, by the way. If someone declines you, you can't invite them again for another 60 seconds. So yeah, this is just rejection. Yo, that guy's wearing an England shirt. Yeah, hell yeah. Right, I need a low level. 14, yes, you. 22, 34. Yes, someone just accept it, please. I just need you to test this out. Right, why is everyone declining my invites? What the hell? Okay, I got level 0 and I got level 51. Right, okay, so let's do this quickly. Survival, if I go to Frost and do Trio, yes, so it now has this long error message. Some of them, the players, do not reach the requirements for Frost mode. I think it's the same for Fallen mode if I do it here. Yep, it's difficulty Fallen, and I think it's even still the case for Molten because one of them is level 0. Yep, Molten, and then even Intermediate. Yeah, Intermediate. So these error messages come up. I wonder, I can do Sandbox, I believe. Polluted Wastelands 2, and then Duo. Oh shit, I can. Oh, let's just quickly leave that before that was an accident. I didn't mean to do that. But yeah, you can see that new error messages appear in Roblox, despite the fact that, well, it's very unwieldy. Obviously, this is a very long error message, which seems like it should be an error message within the dev console rather than displayed to the user. Okay, then, so I can glitch underneath the map. So what I'm trying to do is get to this teleport here. As you can see, is there an area? There is. Okay, so let's just, no, what? No, why did I do that? Okay, I've glitched inside of the wall. I'm trying to, okay, there we go. Have I glitched through? Yes, I have. So, oh, no, I haven't. I'm trying to get through this part of the portal here. Can I please glitch through this? Please? All right, there we go. Right, here I am in the Adidas Lobby. So, finally, I managed to get through here. I wonder if the Adidas beats still play. So, let's put on the music. Oh, it does. Interesting. So, can I start a map here? If I go into easy mode and then solo, this mode is disabled. Yeah, so it's a different error message while up here. So I guess that's cool. Yeah. Okay, this mode is disabled. So it's not spewing out dev console nonsense, so that's fair. They also removed the Adidas quests from the missions, which I think is fair enough given the fact that one of them actually required you to beat one of the maps in the Adidas event, which is basically impossible. They also removed some of the cutscenes here, which, well, they removed all the cutscenes, sorry, so you can't play them in the lobby. That's fine, but they have removed the Try on the Pro Ball. Of course, you can still buy this ball here if you manage to get up here. Obviously, with the fact that you can't actually access these game modes, means that, yeah, you can't really do much up here. It's just a very nice Easter egg because it's still in the lobby, and you can exit to the lobby here. So, yeah, and if you look up, there's the Adidas Lobby.